Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jason from Jadren Aquatics. Thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to talk about breeding for profit and how you can sell $1,000 a month or more, depending on how much work you want to put into it. And guess what? It's not fish. The reason it's not fish, because Jason hates bagging, catching, and shipping fish, and not in that order. I don't know how you guys do it for a living, but it is an absolute beating to do that. So, what is it, Jason, that you are breeding that you're able to sell that much? Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about it. So, I sell these on getgills.com and I sell them on aquabid.com, but I don't sell very much there at all. But I decided to start selling them on eBay, and that's when the sales exploded on me. Within 10 days, I had already had about 22 to 25 sales on eBay alone, selling them at $25 a pop. Plus the 1 or 2 sales I was getting off of Get Gills and the 1 or 2 sales I was getting off of Aquabid. I finally had to really remove my listings off of those because I blew through all the inventory that I had. And no, it's nothing that I was importing in. These are things that I was actually breeding in the tank myself. So what is it, Jason? It is mystery snails. Yes, mystery snails. Mystery snails are, first of all, incredibly easy to breed. They're cool because they come in a lot of different colors. And the other thing is they are incredibly easy to ship because you don't have to put them in water. They just need a moist paper towel for you to be able to ship them. You can buy these small cups. They're like deli cups to ship them in. And what I do is I ship an assortment of 10 different ones. And the colors that I have some purples, some lighter purples, some browns, some blues, some ivories, and some kind of lighter blues that are almost white. And so I just make up just some sort of assortment. And I typically say the size that I have is somewhere between a dime and a quarter. So I typically try to put a couple of quarter size ones in there, and most of the rest of them would be dime size. So let's go ahead and let's go to the tank so I can kind of walk you through how you breed these things and everything else that goes along with it. Let's start with this tank first. Now, I use multiple tanks in this process, again, because I'm going through so many of them. To me, it's worth giving up the space because, as you guys know, it's expensive to run a fish room, especially with 60 plus tanks. So any way that you can find to make a little extra income is always welcome. So this tank right here exists for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to breed mystery snails. Every snail that you see in here, well, not every, because there's actually some smaller ones that have ended up in here, but they're not actually supposed to be in here. These are all adults. These are all of my breeders. And as you can see, they are all different colors. I don't typically put the same colors together. I just let them breed, and whatever comes out of them, comes out of them. The problem that I'm having right now, I've got too many purples. So I've got other ways that I'm currently dealing with that. So you'll see, again, all of these adults in here. And then if you'll open the top, you'll see at the top, you'll see a lot of the egg casings that are here. So let me go ahead and kind of walk you guys through the process of what I do. One of the things that I do is I feed them a mixture that I make called snail jello. I'll link that above. That gives them the calcium they need. These guys need a tremendous amount of calcium to be able to keep their shells hard. If you do not give them the calcium they need, their shells will get very thin and begin to break, and they will die on you. If you guys are learning anything in this video, I would love for you to take the time and hit the subscribe button so you can see when I'm putting other content out. Now, the other thing that I do is I overfeed these things to death, because what happens is when you overfeed them, that's what triggers them to breed. Somehow they know if there's an excessive amount of food, that means they can have babies, because they know then that the babies will have plenty of food. There's pretty much anything that you can feed them to get them to really to take off and breed at night. That's typically always when they lay their eggs, is when it's dark. One of the things that I have switched to, I've switched many different times. Typically the thing that I'm currently using is What I have currently switched to is these sinking cichlid gold pellets. These things are like $9 a bag, and these actually last quite a while because I pour quite a few of these guys in. I'll kind of give you an idea. I'll go ahead and pour some in there so you guys can see about how many I feed. Now, right now, I feed this much every single night because I want to see them producing eggs every single night. So I just kind of dump about that much in there. And within just a few minutes, they'll start going crazy. The adults can smell this stuff, and they will be all over it, and they'll devour this stuff within just a few minutes. You'll see in here I've got multiple bags of crushed coral. That kind of serves two purposes. One is to keep the hardness in the tank up. Also, I will use those bags whenever I'm starting a new tank. That gives me the seeded bacteria that I need. That's also why there's extra sponges in here also. Now, the other thing that you need to always keep in mind whenever you're breeding mystery snails is you will get them breeding a whole lot more if you will lower the tank level. As you guys can see right here, I've got the tank level where it's lowered about 2 inches. That way it gives them plenty of room because they always want to lay outside the water. And their eggs are very, very sticky, so when they stick them on the outside, they will stick onto the glass. One of the problems that you'll run into, as you can see right down there, is when they begin to lay at night, a lot of times they'll run into some of the old ones and knock them off into the water. When they knock them off into the water, all of the babies that are in there will drown. Again, these guys are all air breathers, so they have to have access to air. So when the babies are first born, they take a breath before they ever enter the water. And so the next step is I come in here every single day, and again, I open the top, and I begin to look around at all of the egg casings. I'm not sure how well the camera is actually going to pick up these colors, but this is pretty much a freshly laid one, probably within the last 2 or 3 days. As you'll see, it kind of has a pinkish color to it. And what happens when you come over here to this one is about 1 or 2 days from being ready to hatch. They begin to look kind of gray and moldy looking. And then what you'll know when they're ready, because what I do is I kind of touch mine each day, and if by just putting the tiny bit of pressure on them, they break, that means these guys are ready to go. So what you'll notice whenever you put it in here like this, it will almost immediately begin to disintegrate. So you just kind of put it between your fingers and just kind of slowly move it back and forth. This is a very small one, so you're not going to see that many snails drop. But as you can see, even just that little bitty one, there was probably 30 to 40 snails that actually fell out of that. You know, these guys are about the size of a, you know, the end of a pencil. And so that's all you got to do to get them into the tank. Now, all you're doing is really, you're just speeding up the process. Normally, if you let them stay in the tank probably another 2 or 3 more days, they would have eaten their way out of there themselves and would have done the same thing. But by doing this, you get them exactly where you want, and you get them on top of a food source immediately so that they can begin to eat. Because if they don't have food, they're going to die pretty quickly. All right, now here is the next step in the process. After I have released the babies into this tank, this is a 10-gallon. Again, I'm using 3 tanks currently in this process. So I release the babies into this tank, and then I overfeed this tank to get these guys to grow. Typically, I will feed these guys green beans constantly, every single day. This tank I'll put probably about a little less than half a can green beans. This gets these guys growing extremely fast. What I'm trying to do in this tank, I'm trying to get these things up to just about nickel size. These guys right here are getting kind of close. Once these guys get up to about nickel size, I will then take those and then I will move them into the other grow out tank. You'll notice in this tank, every one that I have in here is the yellow or ivory colored adults. I specifically bought those because I've pretty much run out of almost every single one of that color, and it hurts my assortment. You guys may just want to grow just one single color and just sell one color, but I've found that it seems like the assortments sell best. Okay, so let's move over to the next tank in the process. Okay, now this is the final tank. This is a grow out tank only. That's the main purpose for this tank. And so this tank, I typically feed about a can of green beans every single day. Now there's a bunch of bristlenose that are in here growing out too. They absolutely love the green beans too, so between all of them, they'll devour an entire can within probably about 2 hours. You'll also see, I haven't cleaned them out lately, you'll see a few dead snails that are in here that need to be removed. Obviously not every one of them is going to survive, but the cool thing about it is those egg sacs that we looked at earlier, some of those will have maybe 50 at minimum, and then you get some that'll have 200 to 300 eggs in them. And I will typically get at least a thing of those eggs every single night. Sometimes I get 2, sometimes I get 3. So I have a huge amount of eggs that are being produced. So right now I'm back in the process of ramping up again to get them to the right size. These guys right here are ready to sell. These guys are, that guy's almost a quarter size, and then like that yellow one right there is about a nickel size. And so I probably got enough in here to sell a few sets. I leave my listings up on Get Gills, and sometimes I leave it up on Aquabids. Aquabids is having all kind of problems with their site. They got hit with a DDoS attack. So their site is up and down so much. I haven't messed a lot with it lately. But my main goal is to get back to selling these guys on eBay. All right, there you have it. There is the breeding for profit. How to make a bunch of money selling your mystery snails. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure and leave a comment down below if you got any comments. So thanks again, guys, and God bless.